Do we have anybody here for that?
I don't think so. So what the applicant is trying to do is, you can see from the plan right here, the lot line right now is,
Where would you like me?
I'm sorry. Let's,
Here?
no, go down. Yep. That's perfect, yep. So the lot line right now cuts through the property at the dotted line. What they want to do is they want to create a new property line that kind of bumps out and basically makes 1058 State Road a bigger parcel of land. So it's not buildable by itself, and it won't be a completely new buildable lot, but they're just increasing the lot size that's what's currently there right now.
So the existing property line, so the people that own lot 21B own map 12, lot 3. How is that happening? Are they buying that piece?
I don't, so Three Sons Realty Trust is map 12, lot 21B, and then Francis R. That is, you combine with the abutting land of Francis R. So John Sherman is the applicant, and then the other property is owned by Three Sons Realty Trust, which is the Carrero, Francis Carrero.
So what I'm getting at is, does the applicant have permission from the lot owner, where they're taking the land from, do they,
Yeah, they have permission.
do we have that in writing?
In the file, you do.
Okay.
But as of right now, both lots run on State Road, so nothing is changing frontage-wise. If anything, the smaller lot is being created as larger. And State Road adequately conveys access to the respective lots. So 1058 State Road will have a remaining lot area of 50.1 acres. And then 1052 State Road currently has an area of 22,521 square feet with a building on it. And the addition of parcel A from 1058 will bring the lot size significantly bigger by 0.5 acres, bringing it more into conformance. Still not buildable by today's standards of the zoning bylaw for 60,000 square feet, but it is increasing its size.
So by increasing it to being less non-conforming, are they losing grandfathering for what they're doing?
Only, I believe, if they were to try and rebuild on there, which they're not proposing.
The use and the lot arrangements are separate considerations.
Okay. Okay, anybody have any questions, comments?
Just clarification on the street address, because the title page says 1058 State Road, and on the map, it's on the site plan, it's identified as 1052, and on Google, it's 1050. Google Maps, it's 1052.
So one of the lots is 1058 and the other lot is 1052.
Which other lot are you referring to? The big, the remain?
Right. The smaller one is 1058 and the larger is 1052.
Other way around.
Oh,
The other way around.
Other way around.
Okay, so the big parcel that they're taking out of to create this larger lot is 1058.
Yes.
Yes.
And you do have on record then, as the chairman asked, that there's permission from that lot owner?
Yeah, we have that in the file.
How much, they're not making this a square lot, they're making it a lesser non-conforming lot. How much bigger would it have to be to become a conforming lot, where if they had to rebuild, they could rebuild?
Like 32,000 more square feet.
And what is it now?
Almost 50,000 additional square feet would be required. The proposed lot is 10,739 square feet. The
Proposed
buildable
lot is 10,000, and they'd have to
buildable lot is 60.
quadruple it.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it says on the plan that the area of parcel A, which is the additional land, is the 10,000 square feet.
Yeah, it looks like it's a 20,000, roughly a 20,000
square foot lot.
So they'd have to double it in size.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To triple it, they need to have a 60,000.
60,000. Triple it.
It seems like they're just wrapping the property lines around what they've been actually using probably for years.
It also looks like the adjusted property line kind of follows the wetlands delineation there as well. So they're only receiving what's the usable portion
Yep.
of the lot that's providing the extra property.
Well, it's making it more non-conforming. They have a dumpster area. I don't know what that means. Is that a shed, or is that just a pad, or is that just a place? It's very close to the new property line.
I mean, typically, you're gonna have a pad and a dumpster on there. It's also becoming less non-conforming in terms of zoning as well. Where the existing lot line is, it definitely would not meet setback requirements, and so
Right.
by bumping that out, would meet setback requirements.
And the area around there is all gravelled, so they've been using it anyway. Okay,
You want a motion, Mr. Chair?
I'd like a suggestion first from the planners,
No.
whether we should do this.
So I would recommend that the proposed A&R meets the criteria for endorsement and that the board endorse the plan.
Okay. Now I'd like a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve the endorsement of the plan entitled Approval Not Required, 1058 State Road, Assessors Map 12, Lot 3, Westport, Massachusetts, because the plan complies with the provision of Mass General Laws, Chapter 41, Section 81P.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
That's unanimous. Next is approval not required, A&R, AP, I don't know what AP stands for, AP 60 Lot 18, file number 24-002A, request by the applicant for endorsement of a one-lot plan of land to correct the issue of number 10 Elise Michelle Way to comply with the zoning by adding parcel A to AP 63, lot 16 from AP 63, lot 18. And maybe you can straighten that out.
Okay, it's a little confusing. Sean Lynch, Northeast Engineers, representing Peter and Andrew Kaplan. This is the Kaplan property. I think we're semi-familiar with it. It straddles between Saudi and the Ball Ponds. This is the Saudi Pond side. There's a ancient right-of-way or right-of-way that was created in 1929 called East Michelle Way that cuts the lot in half. What happens is during the survey, I think I was in here previously, where we were deeding over these lots to the abutting owners. The Kaplans are in the process of disposing and getting rid of all the problems here. We discovered that the house that was built some time ago straddled the right-of-way and straddled the property line. This lot line was originally right here, the house is over here, and the septic system is over here, this line you see here. So in order to straighten that out and make everything kind of conforming, they're cutting out a lot from parcel of this lot, which is this parcel A, to give to this person for their house and making it so there's enough area, total area between the two lots combined will be 60,000 square feet, with frontage being on the existing Elise Michelle Way. The right-of-way that used to go here is being abandoned. This owner also owns this, so there's no problem with access, and they're providing access to that lot within a 20-foot easement that wraps around parcel A, which is going to that. It's a little confusing. But we're trying to straighten out what essentially is a house that's straddling the property line.
And you're making the lot more conforming.
Conforming.
Yeah, this is a non-conforming lot,
Right.
about 10,000 square feet. We're adding this parcel here, which is, but to make this whole entire piece now 60,000 square feet,
I thought it was 80, a little bit over 80.
I think it's 60.
So we'll combine 68,000,
Yeah,
66.
68,000, I can't read.
866.
Yeah, 68,000 square feet. So this is basically 100 by 130. This is about 14,000 square feet. You're taking parcel A, combining the two with a total combined area of 68,000 square feet, which makes it a conforming lot. And gets rid of all these problems with the septic system, the house, and various other things. And the driveway that goes across to get to it.
Looks like a good thing to do. So, what is the suggestion of the planners?
So I would suggest that the board endorse this plan because the subject lots will front on Elise Michelle Way, which is an existing private way. And it was a way in existence before the subdivision control law became effective, and the plan references that the private way was in existence around 1929. The combination of lot 16 and parcel A will exceed the frontage requirement of 150 square feet, and the lot will have 267.06 along the existing private way. Elise Michelle Way currently serves 6 lots, with 5 of the lots having structures on them. The proposal of combining lot 16 and parcel A does not involve any additional homes or structures, therefore leaving the proposed use of the land unchanged. And there's currently no proposal for additional structures, so there's no demand for the installation of services. And the combination of lot 16 and parcel A will create a lot that has sufficient lot area that exceeds 60,000 square feet. And as is, lot 16 is non-conforming, and therefore it brings the lot up to conformity by the addition of the land.
Okay, I would.
You want a motion?
Please.
I move to approve the endorsement of the plan entitled AP 87 Lot 5B Old Harbor Road, Westport, Massachusetts, because the plan complies with the provisions of Mass General Law, Chapter 41, Section 81D.
I think that's incorrect. So it's not on Old Harbor Road.
All right, you're right. So,
Michelle Way.
it is on Elise Michelle Way.
Okay. And the seconder,
Second.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Next is.
We've got to vote.
Oh, I'm sorry. Didn't we vote? Oh, all those in favor?
Aye.
I did in my mind, I'm sorry.
We did vote.
Oh, we did vote.
We did vote,
All right, so now now it's approved twice.
right. Right. I don't know what that means, but.
I doubly approve.
The next is C, 309 Gifford Road, file number 22-004, SP-FF. Vote to approve the HOA amendment to remove lot 103C from the HOA agreement. And
Yep.
somebody's going to explain that one.
So this was before the board in 2022 for a special permit for a common driveway and flexible frontage. So the homeowners association that they submitted to us with their filing, it incorrectly listed lots 103A, 103B, and 103C. And 103C needs to be removed from the HOA because they don't share any common area. The only common area for the common driveway and flexible frontage was for 103A and B, not 103C. So in the special permit conditions, it just says that any change to the HOA needs to be approved and voted on by the board. So Attorney Levin is representing the applicants, and all they're doing is making the edit to remove 103C out of the HOA.
So is 103C part of the same subdivision?
It was, yes. It's
think
not
it's the
it's
existing
not a
house.
subdivision. Well,
I think it's the existing house on Gifford Road.
yep.
One of the existing.
So if it's the same subdivision,
It's not.
It's not a subdivision though.
Is there a plan of this?
I can bring it up on the Google Drive.
Mhm.
22-004.
22-004.
Mhm.
I mean, the thing which is the document amendment to the Carvalho Farm Homeowners Association bylaws is silent about 103C.
right?
It just talks about 103A and 103B are, oh, I'm sorry, that's not correct. It says the land and building located at 309 Gifford Road as lot 103C.
So my understanding of a requirement for homeowners association is all the lots in a subdivision, not excluding ones that are not on the road or share an easement for drainage. I could be wrong, but that's what I would interpret. And the question is, if this is in the same subdivision, which it seems like it probably is, if the lots are labeled A, B, and C.
Well, I guess in the HOA though, what they're saying in here is that 103C does not share any common area, drainage, or shared driveway as defined in the association and should not be a part thereof.
Can you point out which one is 103C?
This is 103A here, 103B, and 103C is this one.
And so that doesn't share drainage?
That's what's stated in here, right?
It is listed in
It
here,
doesn't share drainage.
or a common area, or a shared driveway.
Well, it doesn't share the driveway.
So this looks like the lot with the house, clearly that, I don't know if clearly or not, but it looks like that lot was cut out of the bigger parcel.
Yeah, I think that the two bigger lots are what they cut out
Yeah,
of the house lot, which
Right.
is the smaller lot, so.
and so they're saying this amends the homeowners association to take them out, take the 103C lot out, the existing house lot out of the association.
Yes,
I think it's, I guess they don't share the driveway.
no, they don't. The driveway for lot 103C is,
None of this is built yet, right? These are vacant.
They just started building one. They just cut the road in and they just put one house up.
Oh, I see.
The two, so the whole family farm, two of the sons are building on those two lots. And the Cape, the original lot, I believe they just sold that one. That's not gonna stay in the family.
Where's the driveway? It comes in.
There's some more detail.
The
on that.
cul-de-sac, and that's why I'm just looking to see if they have the correct frontage
Well,
on
here's a
Gifford
more
Road.
detailed plan view.
So the driveway and the cul-de-sacs been cut in?
Yes. So I think what they're trying to accomplish is the two new houses are gonna be responsible for maintenance of the driveway. And
Yeah.
this existing old house,
That way they split it 50-50 and
Yep.
they don't have to worry about the third
Yep.
person who doesn't share that driveway. Just makes it simpler.
But I'm part of a homeowners association that has 15 lots, and it has 3 lots that don't have access to the roadways in the subdivision. But they still are part of the homeowners association. They just pay less on an annual basis because they don't have to pay for the upkeep of the roads. But
I mean, everyone within the HOA at the moment met and signed off on it, agreeing that they're all in agreement that removing 103C is what they want.
so who signed?
Jacqueline Cavallo, Sandra Cavallo, Corey Cavallo, Jennifer Allen, and Joshua Cavallo.
So we don't know if it includes 103C owners. Because my thought is that they conveyed 103C without the homeowners association on it.
I'm sorry, what?
So isn't the point that 103C should be part of the homeowners association if it shares driveways, access ways, easements, storm drainage systems, common open space, utilities, and other common areas? And if not, then it's not,
Right.
doesn't have to be part of the homeowners. I don't know.
What's the frontage of that lot on Gifford Road?
The existing, or excuse
Yeah,
me,
the existing, it has
the-
adequate frontage, right?
103C?
Yes.
Let me check.
I believe, I recall
It should.
this division, I think that's conforming.
So basically, it's a two-lot subdivision that they cut
Yeah.
out of that parcel, so I think they'd be correct in what they're trying to do.
So what do the planners suggest?
I would suggest that if the homeowners are all in agreement and they've signed this document,
We don't know if they are. We don't know who's who.
then I would suggest that if 103C does not share any common areas or drainage or stormwater or driveways, that they can be removed from the HOA agreement.
So does anybody have any comments or motions?
I'll make a motion, Mr. Chair, to approve the removal of Lot 103C from amendment to Carvalho Farm Owners Association and bylaws preface dated January 12, 2024.
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? I am opposed. So that passes 4-1. Next is Stone Ridge ILF, or Independent Living Facility, file number 23-002 SP, withdrawn. Closeout and release consultant review funds in the amount of $5,000 plus interest.
Yep, that's just the one that was withdrawn for the independent living facility. We just need to close out and release the funds back to the applicant.
You want a motion, Mr. Chair?
Sure.
I move to release the inspection fees of $5,000 plus interest for Stone Ridge, a private community, map 21, lot 8A, Mellows Way and Shabbat Street, Westport, Massachusetts.
I second that.
Discussion?
Yeah, before we vote,
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
just because there's been a lot of correspondence, or some correspondence about this from abutters, et cetera, I didn't know whether, there's some work that the owner may be required to do, or may be prevailed upon to do, or something like that. I just don't know. So I'm not sure that
So this.
releasing him completely at this stage is the right thing to do. Perhaps it is, but.
So we're not releasing the applicant completely. This was just for the previous filing for the independent living facility. He still has an active low impact development application in front of the board that is going to be back in front of the board on February 20th. So we still have consultant review fees held for that filing. But this one was withdrawn months back and needs to be released.
I see. So these fees don't apply to what he's currently or still applying for.
Correct.
Okay, Bob, you were gonna?
No, I will second John's motion, now that as long as we're holding funds for if we have to do drainage work.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Next is Inheritance Lane, file number 23-010C. Vote to accept the surety estimate as provided by SW Cole.
Yep, so I'm not sure if you have it in your packets because it was given to the office this afternoon by Derek. But if you'd like, I can read his review and surety estimate into the record.
Sure.
SW Cole Engineering has made a site visit to the aforementioned project on January 15th, 2024 for the purpose of providing the board a progress report and developing a surety estimate to complete the project. The following observations were made as part of the review of the construction. The construction entrance is completed with the stone tracking pad in place and appearing to function as intended. Erosion control measures are installed and appear to be working as intended, especially during the recent heavy precipitation events. Evidence of water drainage on the date of the visit appear to follow the rough dense swale from the existing roadway and future hammerhead turnaround to the detention basin. The detention is constructed with the outlet control structure installed and the emergency spillway also constructed. The shoulders and slopes have loam installed, but fine grading and seeding is incomplete. The project remains mostly incomplete as the work began in December of 2023. The owner/developer indicated that work would progress through the winter as the weather allowed. The owner is still awaiting a response from the electrical utility regarding the underground electric for the project. SW Cole, as part of this progress review, has developed a surety estimate for your review considering the work performed to date. We suggest that a surety in the amount of $133,000 be considered for this project.
And that includes the 20% buffer?
It does, yes.
Okay, any discussion? If not, I entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move to accept the surety estimate of $133,000 for Inheritance Lane as provided by S.W. Cole.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, next up is the public hearing that was scheduled for 6:15, called Corey Ridge Estates, file number 23-035C, continued from November 14th, 2023. This is a request by the applicant to consider a definitive subdivision plan entitled Definitive Subdivision Corey Ridge Estates, located at 265 Cornell Road, AP 81, Lot 4, proposing to divide the property into 4 lots. The applicant is requesting a continuance for this project.
If I may, Chair, Sean Leach, Northeast Engineers for Brian Giblin. This is the 3-lot subdivision off Cornell Road, I don't know if you remember it, and we have addressed all the comments from the consultant, and we actually did a couple of things to address the abutters' comments on this. They want us to save a tree. We've got some solutions to save all those things. The only thing that we couldn't address, for obvious reasons, was the requirement for a percolation test. We brought this in November. I don't believe it's required to have that for the planning board to make the decision. And we're trying to get a decision from the planning board that, you know, we don't need to do percolation tests on a lot to approve the definitive subdivision. Obviously, it's at our own risk. I think case law has been proven that you don't need to rely on percolation tests for the approval of a subdivision plan. So, because if that is the case that you're requiring a percolation test, we would need to kick it out about 4 months instead of a couple of weeks, basically. I want us, you know, just get the board's opinion and take a vote on that. If that's the only outstanding issue that we're aware of that we haven't addressed on the plans so far. So we'd like to be able to send everything out, make sure it's okay, and then come back here for approval on the subdivision.
Okay, so do we have an indication that the location of the leach fields would not be an issue in terms of
If you,
roadway and
we have the roadway, the drainage.
wetlands and everything?
The drainage has been resigned, roadway is staying where it is. We're requesting only 2 waivers. One is the width of the road, which the abutters would not prefer to have a giant road in there. And the second one's fill on the side of the road. The rest of them, that we had requested, we've addressed and taken them off because we've built bigger ponds and everything to meet the requirements. The only requirement, like I said, and the reason we're asking for continuance, we weren't sure what the date certain would be, because with the cooperative weather that we've had in the last month and a half, it seems impossible to do a percolation test, essentially. So if we need to do a percolation test on every lot, it would have to be pushed out quite a bit. If not, we can push it out to a time determined.
I would let the planners describe what our position should be, but I believe that while we would prefer to know where the perk tests are,
Right.
we can't condition that.
I believe that's correct.
I agree with that. And so I think we can continue this to the next hearing date that's available.
Okay.
So the next hearing date available, in order for revised plans to get in and be reviewed and everything, is March 19th.
Okay.
At,
That's the earliest we can get up?
well, February 20th, we already have 3 public hearings.
Okay. Well,
Yeah, February 20th is,
Okay.
there's our rezoning and zoning amendments on the, so there's no way that
Okay.
will get to it.
It is what it is.
So at 6:15, if that works.
That's fine. Great.
So,
Want a motion, Mr. Chair?
please,
I move to continue the public hearing for Quarry Ridge Estates to March 19th at 6:15 PM.
Second.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Great, thank you.
Thank you. The next public hearing, scheduled for 6:30, is 435 Old Harbor Road, file number 23-037 SPA. This is continued from January 9th, 2024. Request by the applicant to consider converting the existing residence into an adolescent education and housing facility. The applicant is requesting a continuance for this project.
Yes, Mr. Chair, so the applicant is not here, and they are requesting a continuance until March 19th at 6:30 PM.
Okay,
You want a motion, Mr. Chair?
please.
I move to continue the public hearing for 435 Old Harbor Road to March 19th at 6:30 PM.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
The next public hearing at 6:45, it's too early, so assistant planners report or assistant and planners reports?
Let me pull up something here. So I think it was our last meeting, maybe the one before that, I let you all know that I'm working with the Bike Walking Path Committee to extend the Quikasham Rail Trail to Westport. Last night I went to the select board meeting and they voted to endorse the application. And I have a map of the project extension here for your reference. It's in this dashed red area. And it's about 1,200 feet of trail, be a standard 12-foot wide asphalt trail. It's on a former rail bed that Mass DOT owns, and it will terminate near Old Bedford Road. And so what we're asking for is for the planning board to support our grant application as well as commit $5,000 in match for the project. We'll be requesting about $70,000 in grant funds, or $60,000 in grant funds. We'll be putting up $5,000, and then the South Coast Bikeway Alliance has contributed an additional $5,000 to this project. What this will do is, well, if we're awarded it, we'll put out an RFP for a consulting engineer to help do some site assessment and to come up with conceptual design that we would then use to get on the tip to initiate that process.
Okay, so when it gets to Old Bedford Road, you're just gonna stop it at that point?
It would just stop at that point. There are plans, there's some plans to have a bike lane that would maybe go up around Old Bedford Road and then continue up Sanford. And then there's a couple of different ideas as to what would be the Cross Westport Trail. One is, I forget the name of the road up here, but this this one right here.
That's Old Bedford Road.
Okay, so it's a continuation of Old Bedford Road. Or to just plan on the cross Route 6 improvement, bikeway improvement that Mass DOT.
So is it the red or the purple, which is, I thought last time you talked about this, it was gonna be the purple.
It's this right here. If
Yeah.
I zoom in, that's just an outline of the
Oh, I see.
parcel. Yeah.
And is the 5,000 in our budget? Do we have that?
Yeah, so we were able to carve out a little bit of match for this project because we were awarded a grant for some MS4 work last
Yeah.
year. And so we were able to, instead of using our professional services, which almost entirely goes to MS4 work, we're able to divert some of that to other projects.
So is it just from there to Route 6? Or go all the way to Old Bedford?
It's just from where the Quikasham Trail terminates currently at the Westport line to Route 6. There would need to be some more conversations with MassDOT about what that crossing could
How to
look like.
cross Route 6?
Right. So that's kind of why it just stops there. That's a natural stopping point for it.
And that's a unused, disused, or
Rail.
abandoned rail bed?
Yes.
And there's no issues with taking that from Department of Transportation or anything like that?
We're working on getting an approval from Mass DOT right now. Yeah.
Want a motion, Mr. Chair?
Please.
Mr. Chair, I move that we endorse the grant application to extend the existing bike trail easterly along the northern edge of South Watuppa Pond using the $5,000 that is available for purposes of securing, of providing a match that is required.
I second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? No. Okay.
The next item on the planner's report is an update. This is just a really quick one for our hazard mitigation plan. We had our kickoff meeting with MEMA a couple of weeks ago, and right now we're waiting on our executed contract and notice to proceed, and then we'll get a consultant to help draft the hazard mitigation plan. This is separate from an emergency response plan. This is more addressing potential loss of property and life and how we can deal with that and a public policy approach. And then an emergency response is obviously after the fact.
But we
So-
need this plan in place if we are ever to secure funding from FEMA for dealing with an issue like East Beach Road.
That's correct. So there's some programming through FEMA and through MEMA as well, where this plan is a precursor to access those funds.
So this is really important to get this done.
Very important for future initiatives, for future resiliency initiatives, yeah.
Okay.
And this isn't on the agenda, but it's another grant-related item. Amy submitted today an application to, I forget the name of the entire grant program, but it was through the Buzzards Bay National Estuaries Program. I brought this one up probably about a month ago, letting you all know that we're going to apply with this apply for this grant program with Buzzards Bay Coalition. So this is to do some initial investigative work into replacing culverts at Angeline Brook and Cornell Road, Drift Road at Lions Brook, and Drift Road at Snell Creek. So Buzzards Bay is going to be providing all of the match for this grant. They'll be providing $35,000 in match. And the request is for $50,000, right? Amy?
Yep, so 85,000 total.
And we or they are applying for, to whom?
Buzzards Bay National Estuaries Program.
Okay.
And the culverts are also, I mean, it's for stormwater improvements, but also because these are cold water fish habitats. Yeah, so it's create a wildlife passage for those cold brook trout.
Okay,
And that's all I've got for the planner's report.
all right.
Please pass this down to Jim for this.
Yeah. Jim, you gotta sign something.
Okay, while I'm doing that, the next up is the public hearing for 6:45 for Salty Breeze, Inc., file number 23-032 SPA-SP-RM. This is continued from October 17th, 2023 and December 12th, 2023. We have a request by the applicant to continue this and get a time extension for this project.
Yep, so the applicant is requesting a continuance and extension to March 19th at 6:45 PM.
You want a motion, Mr. Chair,
Yes, please.
for a full docket on March 19th? Should bring sleeping bags, I think. I move to continue the public hearing for 435 Old Harbor Road to March 19th.
No, Salty Breeze.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, sorry. I'm reading, just shouldn't be. For Salty Breeze, Inc., to March 19th at 6:45.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, do we have any assistant planners report?
I don't have one, no. The only update I was gonna give was the grant submission today for the Buzzards Bay Watershed Municipal Grant
Okay.
Program.
Correspondence.
There's no correspondence
No.
included.
Minutes of January 9th.
I wasn't here, so I don't find any errors.
It's interesting that, given you were elsewhere, you made a motion at 6:45.
Well, you see, that's my superpower.
It is one of your superpowers. I think I did second that. I don't recall who moved it. I may have moved it.
Maybe I was here.
I think you were.
I was here.
You were.
You came late, but you were here.
I came late, so,
Well, that must be correct.
so the error, so I should be listed in attendance.
You are. Wait, are you?
Let me look at my calendar.
And members.
Yeah, I was here. That was a short-term rental day, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
I was here.
I'll go back in my notes and have Nadine just have the minutes reflect that you were late, and I know I always take down the time that
Yeah.
someone shows up, so I'll have that amended.
Well, you could be excused, Bill, John, wasn't that the evening you would come in just after having been to the hospital and been put out
No,
and clamp back to
no,
life?
No, that was.
No,
last
'cause-
Shock
week.
back to, was that a
was
different
last
time?
week.
No, because I had
All right.
I had a meeting with Wendy Nicholas at 1 o'clock, so
All right.
I think I got here actually on time, but why don't you double check? And then she came to the meeting later on.
Right. Okay, so
Time
do we
flies.
want to set this aside until we have the correct information?
I can check really quick, if you give me just a second.
I'm pretty sure I got here on time, so I would just amend it by adding me.
Mr. Chairman, I think this is we've received a lot of public comment, and
Mhm.
I think this is a good capture of that public information on the bed and breakfast.
Yeah, I've read it over twice and I haven't seen any problems. I think it was good.
Yeah,
The only thing I didn't catch was John Bullard not being there and making a motion. so-
you were there.
Yeah, I was there.
Yep.
Yeah, my notes don't say anything about
Okay.
I move that we, with the addition of our colleague, Mr. Bullard, that the minutes be accepted.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, last but not least, matters not reasonably anticipated within 48 hours?
How much invoice?
Invoices.
Oh, I'm sorry. Invoice.
I move we authorize payment to East Bay Media of $123 for the bed and breakfast amendment notice.
I second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Matters not reasonably anticipated?
Have one update. I reached out to the administrative assistants for Representative Schmidt and Senator Rodriguez to schedule a planning board working session for East Beach, and they're both open to have that scheduled in. Right now, we're just working on coordinating it with their schedules. So once we finalize something, we'll have a special planning board meeting for that.
The planning board meeting or the meeting that we had talked about that would include,
Yes, we'll include all those people. We'll just have to more than likely warn it or notice it as a planning board meeting, just because John, I would assume that you'd want to be there, and Bob,
Yeah,
Jim,
yeah.
Manny, so, just so we're not running into any open meeting law issues. So we'll notice the meeting, and then, yes, we'll invite Courtney Roca and a representative from CZM and, other town departments.
Good.
Yeah.
Okay. I wish we had on here talking about short and long-term planning things, but since we don't, I'd like to be able to speak to the issue of Beach Avenue and other barrier beach areas that we have that, besides East Beach, and to see about, thinking about long-term what we do with these things, instead of just waiting for the next storm and the next storm.
Well, Mr. Chairman, I think that probably fits within agenda items for the special meeting.
Okay.
And you wanted to say what?
Well, first of all, Beach Avenue,
There's no more.
is no more, right. Beach Avenue had a lot of damage, and the highway surveyor, or I don't know if you call him the highway surveyor anymore, but anyways,
Yep.
Chris has, I don't know how many times he's been down there this year, and end of last year, trying to scrape the sand off the thing and reposition everything again and again. And we had, the select board back, I don't know, 10, 11 years ago, had been working with Buzzards Bay Coalition to reimagine what Beach Avenue could be. And what they were suggesting is, if you know Beach Avenue, the wide part is the first part, and to leave that open for access to the beach and for parking, but from that point on to the Novel, to discontinue the road and to let the dunes come up and have a wooden walkway towards the Novel that would go over the top of these dunes, so that we're not continually ripping up everything there, because there's no space down there. And when you clear all that stuff, you dump it on another fragile barrier beach, and then you go scrape it up again, and then you put fences in, and then you put mats in, and all that stuff. And I just think it's time to reconsider that. We already have the plans, and I think it would be interesting to see if there would be some desire to do this, and maybe we could get a grant from MVP or something like that to do this. Previously, Buzzards Bay was going to get a grant and provide some of the funding for this. And I have gotten from Mike Sullivan, who was very involved with that, a ream of email posts from 11 years ago that have all the plans and everything else in there. And I'm going to share it with the planning department, and they can distribute it to anybody that wants to see it. But I think now is the time before we do it again.
I think we should explore that, because right now the dune has migrated into the road.
Yeah.
And it's when you look at it, I think the natural thing to do is to abandon that section of the road, and people can park down and, wherever the end of the sign now is in front of the Charlton Estate House. And that's how much road there is, and the rest, people, can walk in.
Yeah.
There'll be a lot of fishermen carrying buckets, but,
I mean, it's a road to nowhere.
yeah.
And at that time, 11 years ago, they contacted the feds, who have the little light at the end of.
Yep.
And they said they don't need any road access there anymore. They don't carry the stuff over the rock. They come by boat and do it. So I think it would be really helpful. And also on Atlantic Avenue, I would like to have some way to discourage the people who live along there to have cut-throughs through the dunes, because that's where the water starts to come through, and then and everything comes out. If you want to get access to the beach, go over the dunes with a wooden walkway like they do everywhere else in the world.
Yep.
And I think that, again, I think you could probably get some grants to provide 1 or 2 of those things for public access. But I think it's crazy just to do nothing and keep on relying on the highway department. Well, here it is again, gonna scrape it up and fix it up again, so.
And I think Beach Avenue clearly falls into a different category than East Beach. The East Beach Road really is an important convenience, I mean, access way around from Lower Horse Neck. But Beach Ave just leads to the Nubble, and it could be shortened, and you could still get to the Nubble.
Right.
I think this is an important discussion, and the Board of Selectmen have asked the Planning Board and the Climate Resilience Committee for advice. And I have been talking with a number of you, including Michael, about using our next meeting of the CRC, which is February 15th, I think, and just devoting the agenda of that meeting to respond to the Board of Selectmen request. And I've been trying to think about the best way to do that. Because, you know, in the 2 or 3 years we've been meeting, there have been a lot of discussions already about this issue. So the people on the CRC have thought a lot about this issue, but these 4 storms have really put a point on it. And not to mention the work done by the East Beach Vulnerability Study with the help of Woods Hole Group. So I think in trying to think about it, and we had a productive meeting with John Leach last week, and one of the things that interested me, and I don't know whether we need to check the veracity of this, I tend to trust Sean, is in talking about East Beach Road, he said if the ocean comes and takes your property up to the road line, you've lost your property. And if it puts it back, it's not yours anymore. And that, in the topic of managed retreat, the first reaction to people is going to be, I'm not interested. You know, put the sand back and keep the road open time and time again forever. But if you say, well, if the ocean takes your land away, it's gone. You don't own it anymore. That's an incentive for managed retreat, because managed retreat is you get compensation. If the ocean takes it away, you don't get any compensation. You can go argue with Mother Nature, see if she'll pay you something. But so that's the risk you run. If managed retreat, you get compensation. You want to argue with Mother Nature next time a storm comes and takes everything away, you get bupkis. So the thing I was wondering is, if you said simply, and obviously this isn't simple, there are 2 strategies, and of course there are more than 2, but one strategy is we can keep doing this over and over and over again, you know, plowing the sand back, keeping the road, plow the sand, keep the road, storm after storm after storm, business as usual. That's one strategy. Or the other strategy is managed retreat, which can take many forms and can last 20 or 30 years, right? Depending on funding and everything else. But it still is a strategy of retreat. If those are your 2 strategies, and you poll the CRC and say, which is the better strategy? And you force people to say which is what we should do, then I think that's useful information to the Board of Selectmen, because that's a fork in the road, and it says to the Board of Selectmen, if people weigh in on the managed retreat, it means every step we take should get us 1 inch closer to managed retreat. You should never take a step that doesn't get us at least 1 inch closer to managed retreat. And I happen to disagree that you need that road for exit. I don't think you do. I mean, it's nice, but you got a bridge. You know, there are plenty of places where you don't even have a bridge, right? You get to Martha's Vineyard or, you know, with a ferry. So if you have a bridge, that gets you ingress and egress. But at any rate, what I was thinking about is at least seeing where the 15 or so formal members of the CRC think, because they've been thinking about this for
Yep.
2 or 3 years. If those are your two choices, what do you choose? Keep doing what we've been doing or manage retreat? I don't know.
You also
I don't think it'd be unanimous one way or another, that's for sure. I think it'd be split, but I don't know what the split would be.
So we already know that the MVP denied our request for an engineering study to raise the level of East Beach Road as a barrier to coming through. And that does nothing, even if we did that, it does nothing to keep the people's land on the south side. Because it was still
That would just be
just-
bigger pieces of asphalt strewn all over the place.
And it would also probably make it undermine
Yeah,
quicker, because
That's
there's a
right.
barrier.
yeah, absolutely.
And Michael sent out a copy of the letter that came from Woods Hole after this previous report. And it gives 3 pages of what we can do with the properties that are still there. And so I've asked Michael to decipher it into English so that it isn't all jargon and referencing this law and that law and what can be done, so that at least I can understand it.
Yeah.
So I think it would be good to get that to the CRC, because, and also to the select board, because I think, you know, previously, I don't know how many years ago, after Hurricane Bob, there was a big effort to get everything off the beach seasonally. So
Yeah.
everything gone. You can't have a deck, you can't have a tight tank, you can't have anything.
Worked for a while.
Until the homeowners group, or a bunch of them, got together and went to court, and
Went
the
batshit crazy.
judge put a stay on our enforcement of the rule. And really, what happened is the town just didn't pursue it.
Right,
They didn't pursue trying to get out of the stay.
yeah.
And that's why we're here. I mean, so I think with all the laws and everything that they are thing, you could, in the interim, before you get through with managed retreat, I think you could have the ability for people to have a self-contained trailer on their property, but there can't be any tight tanks, there can't be any decks, there can't be any propane tanks and all that stuff. Which is
I mean, when you see it, a septic tank on
floating.
a beach,
Right.
Floating.
Below the water.
you have to ask, in what world is that allowed? Put a septic tank on a beach.
Sean said he saw one bobbing up and down in the ocean. Just the manhole above water. So,
So what Jim is referring to is kind of, FEMA has a set of regulatory structures that municipalities can build on. I mean, you can pick and choose what you want from it, but that have some additional restrictions. Well, first of all, the town doesn't really have that strict of an approach to building in the floodway. And so what Jim is saying is that we could incorporate some additional restrictions around what kinds of uses are allowed in the floodway, and what kind of standards you have to build to in those areas. And one of the benefits to the community in having an enhanced permitting apparatus around building in the floodway is that you can have reduced rates, and you can make the community eligible for reduced rates in their flood insurance.
Yeah, and you look at Horseneck and how they permit people to live there. It's light on the land,
You mean the campers?
the campers.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's what resilience is about, isn't it? It's being light on the land. What you want in all of these beaches is essentially the ability for sand to move. And anything like a road or a septic tank or a foundation that's heavy on the land, when Mother Nature wants to move it, it's gonna move. And it doesn't matter how big you make it. Superstorm Sandy is gonna say, well, that's not big enough, I'm moving it to wherever I want to move it. And the bigger you make it is the bigger problem you're gonna have. If it's light on the land, which is what the Horseneck campers are, then you look at Katama over at Edgartown, that opens up and it closes, it opens up and it closes. It just moves. And it's always there, and it's always there for public purpose. It just moves. That's what it does. And that's what it does for 1,000 years.
Look at Chatham,
Or Chatham.
their barrier beach.
Yeah, Monomoy.
Yeah.
You just allow it to move. If you allow it and you plan for it, it can still be public purpose. You can still allow campers and to people to live there and enjoy sunsets and swimming. But as soon as you say, I'm gonna fix a position, Mother Nature's gonna say, no, you're not, because I'm stronger than you are.
I think the long-term answer is that it'll be impossible to occupy that beach.
Absolutely.
And so, and
Except temporarily.
you could allow it temporarily, but then, then it's, then there has to be some way of getting to those places and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So, but I think in the long term, it has to, that's gonna be the answer. This is gonna be a piece of public beach.
Yep.
Now, taking that first step towards managed retreat, there are some properties now that probably lie almost entirely below the current
That's right.
water line.
They're not buildable anymore.
And that is and it would be, it would be terrific if there was some kind of, fly a drone over the top of it, or something to say, okay, well, what does this water line look like in relationship to the road?
I think,
Somebody said they're gonna survey the road.
yeah, so
Sean said that.
Sean's they've already come up with they've given a price, and they're gonna do the proper line.
They've come up with what?
Price to lay out the roadway layout. So, and I
To
think,
know where it is.
I think you're gonna find, so when I went out there, and that's when I kinda gave Will Schmidt a call on it, we seen I saw, septic tanks. I had been down there a couple of times when highway was cleaning the road. And then after I went down and I ran into a couple of the homeowners, John Roderick's, he's up a little bit further, and took a walk to those lots with the tanks. So, the roadway layout, I mean, everybody's just, they're kind of assuming that they owned so much off the edge, but the roadway has already been planned retreat. It's all the way to the other side of the layout, because when you talk to the owners on the other side of the road, they know as soon as you step off the asphalt, you're on their property. So, and I think some places it's a 60-foot layout. I don't believe many of those lots have any land at all left. And then I'm talking, and I guess the prior Board of Health agent, one of the storms, they had allowed them to move them tanks. Some of them tanks might even be like right on the roadway layout, if not in the roadway. And I was just I was amazed too to see the tanks sitting there with, no ballast on them, and, because I had done where Dwight Silver's, the one on stilts, he just put the
Yes.
addition on. I did that type tank 20-something years ago, where SciTech designed it, we put a big ballast slab on top of it, and, built it kind of correctly, built the building on stilts. I wasn't even aware that those campers had tanks across. I mean, I hadn't been paying attention all this time, but I thought it wasn't allowed to have the tank out there. Then I see them in the middle of the beach, and I'm like, how close is it to the roadway layout? I mean, that's the first thing, and I would hope that Sean already had that done, so that we can plan. I mean, I don't agree with you that we don't need the road there, because we have a bridge. We do need the road, the utilities go through there now, and it is an emergency access. You coming out of there, you live in that neighborhood.
Yeah.
Something goes on, and you lose the bridge, you might have another chance, getting out the other way. I mean, I don't know, my family was in Island Park during Hurricane Carol, and came over the Stone Bridge, we got the skate bridge, we
Right.
built in the park and all of that, so.
Can't take that road anymore.
So.
You got a big puddle close
No,
to your
but
house.
I know, but, if it's a bad thing, the first thing that's gonna go is that road with the let's gonna go and blow the road out anyway.
In my opinion, it's gonna happen sooner than later.
Yeah,
And we're gonna lose all them pulls sooner than later, and then you guys are gonna be in big trouble, because you don't have no
I
utility.
know,
down
but you and I have talked about running, the electricity under the bridge. Anyway, that's a much better place to get power.
It used to be there. It
Yeah.
used to go under the old bridge.
Yeah,
So,
anyway,
Jim,
But, I
Oh,
think
Mark
we need-
has-
we- I think
Mark-
Mark's gonna weigh in.
I have my hand up.
Yeah,
If you don't, excuse me.
I can't see through that.
I'm a little bit less than I used to be.
No, there's something I don't understand here, or like clarification on. Is East Beach Road and Beach Avenue, for that, where we started talking about, are those town roads?
Yes.
So I assume that carries with it an obligation for the town to maintain those roads.
Yes.
And if we're talking about, if we're talking about East Beach Road, if Mother Nature were to take away all of that private property, all those people who own those lots with the trailers on them, which is unfortunate for them, obviously, but if it were to happen, and there's no more private property along that stretch, does the town, are they relieved from their obligation to maintain the road? Because they're not, I assume that the town has to provide, on any property on town road has to be, the town has to maintain that road. I mean, if a whole bunch of trees fell over on Fisherville Lane and the lane flooded out, they can't just walk away from that. I mean, they're required to maintain that, clear the trees, maintain the roads so that people like us have access to our homes. So what happens
Yeah,
you're in a
question,
situation
yeah.
where there are no homes, can you then say, okay, we can abandon it, the road? Or until that time happens, does the
Right.
town have the obligation to maintain?
Right, so on, Beach Avenue is the easiest one, okay? So the people who own property on Beach Avenue are the Charlton Dock Corporation, the Westport Land Trust, the federal government, and two private property. One is Steinke, who owns the Harbor Inn, and the other is Brian Corey. So the question is, where exactly are those lots? If you, I think you can abandon a public road. There's a process, I think, that you have to go through. And then there probably would be a fight with any property owner down there that still wants road access. But I don't think it's insurmountable. And if you, for instance, wanted to really make a more public beach down there, I think the town owns 150 feet of beach down on Beach Avenue. You could probably take by eminent domain one or two of those lots if you needed to. And, because you still could provide some public parking and access to people who ride their bicycles and
Is
Stuff
the
like
Nubble actually town property, or is that privately owned?
the Nubble itself,
Yeah,
it's federal.
okay.
And on the, if you're going towards the Nubble on Beach Avenue, the stuff on the left-hand side is the Charlton Dock Corporation and the Land Trust, and there might be one private lot right up against the Nubble. I can't remember who owns that one. But, you know, on the right, you have, town, and you have, the land trust, and then there's two private property owners. And I just don't know exactly where they are compared to
Sean Mulaney owns the one next to.
Sean Mulaney.
Yeah, that's the one.
I don't think that he would, don't want to speak for him, but I'm not sure that he needs road access to it.
Yeah, so in that case, in the case of Beach Avenue, you're saying you might be able, if you can work with the property owners to eventually discontinue maintenance of that.
You would have less opposition anyway.
Yeah.
But East Beach is a totally different scenario, and it's also, I believe, in the emergency management plan. I mean, and that's why highways out there doing what they're doing with the fire department and everything else, so it's under that plan, so.
You just don't
FEMA
wanna-
and all of
you-
that
you-
stuff, they got some.
You just don't want to deal with all these people in the select board coming every night.
I mean, that's
No,
what we said, it's the emergency management
Well,
plan, it's the precursor, we gotta get that done.
You know, I'm a firm believer that, you know, we don't necessarily, as a town, or even if those landowners, if they're not at the point where they've lost their land, and they come up with some kind of plan, it's like they want us to throw the cobbles back on their property. I said, well, I mean, if you want us to do that, you need some kind of amended order of conditions.
Right.
And I did ask, do we even, you have an order of conditions that says you can put cobbles on your property? I mean, you gotta realize the cobbles are what's left after hundreds of years of erosion over there, and that's what's destroying our road. So if we do something to batter the road, and, you know, you do a beach nourishment plan, I mean, you could have a beautiful beach there that could, you know, withstand, the roadway could withstand and give public access to, you know, whatever property owners still out there, and the town beach that we have out there, and get into Dartmouth. I mean,
Well, I think a lot of the sand from East Beach is over in Allen's Pond.
oh, it is.
Yeah,
So,
I mean,
so, you know.
they
good-
take it
good
from
luck-
Allen's Pond and put it on another beach.
Right, but good luck with.
well, that's what that gooseberry study that the Buzzards Bay Coalition is doing, is, you know, there's a lot of sand in Allen's Pond at the end of Slocum's River, and there's not much sand, you know, down where all the cobble is, so is that the causeway? You know, if we got rid of the causeway, would that start to even out? But anyway, that's what they're
I
trying
mean,
to
the way we're
find
getting
out.
battered from these storms that are coming in, I don't think the causeway's a problem with that, but,
We move to adjourn,
Yes,
good discussion.
Second.
I second.
all those in favor?
Aye.